Peter Parfitt and welcome to my side table building project. I'm going to show you how to make a side table like this one using the tools which you see in front of you now. Now, one of the key tools I'm going to be using is the Festool Domino 500 jointer, and this machine is used to cut the various mortises required on both the legs and the rails, like so, just here and here, and you then use these floating tenons, which Festool call dominoes, hence the name of the system, and these then go in the slots with some glue and you end up making very sturdy joints. And I'll show you how to do all of that. I'll also be showing you how to put a hardwood edge onto a veneered sheet like this veneered MDF so that it produces a very hard-wearing and quite pleasant looking edge. And we'll be using a special router bit made by CMT to do that, and it's this bit here. Now, this is a project which I would hope most people would be confident to attempt, and I hope by the time you've seen this video that you'll have a go at it yourself. So let's get cracking. Now, I'm going to make the legs from various bits and pieces of oak that have been lying around in the workshop, left over from other projects. And it's my intention to machine these up so they are 30mm square, the size of this piece here. Now, I'm going to do that machining on the Festool CMS unit with the TS55R saw inside, and that will be an easy task for that machine. I need some wood for the sides at the top of the table, and that I'm going to take from this big lump here, and I'm going to have to saw this through down through there on the bandsaw, and you'll see me do that in a minute. I'll be able to saw all the way through. I'll then clean it up with the planing machine. Now, for the table tops, I'm going to be using oak veneered MDF, and this is quite a nice material to work with because the MDF as a background is very stable, it's very flat, and therefore overall it does look good. And I'm going to be edging this with solid oak. Now, you can, if you don't have access to oak-faced MDF, use solid oak. And if you don't have pieces big enough, you can join bits together and plane them off. But this is the product we'll be using. Right, I'm all set up ready to go. In here I've got my TS55R and I've got the universal blade in it. That's got 28 teeth and that's ideal for ripping. If you've got some seriously difficult wood, then the Panther blade with less teeth might be better. But this is perfect for me. I've set my fence at 30mm because after I've cut it, there's no need to plane this, just a quick sand and it should be perfect. As long as you feed it through nice and steady, it will come out beautifully. I've got my MFT3 here as an outfeed table, and of course I'm connected to my CT26 dust extractor. So here we go. Well, that's all of the legs cut out now, so I can now cut them to length and then look at the side pieces. Now, when you're cutting something big like this on the bandsaw, you do need to make sure you take it nice and steady. I've marked a scribe line where I want to cut, and I've actually used some pencil to make that just a little bit more obvious. I've got everything set up. I've got an outfeed table here because this piece of wood is so big and it would be very difficult and actually quite dangerous to try and reach across to control it any other way. So here we go. see two quite nicely prepared pieces of wood. That's one quick trip through the planer and that will be perfect. Well, that's just two passes through the planing machine. I've got two very nice oak boards which I'll use for the sides of the tables. Well, that's all the machining done. I've got the 30 by 30 for the legs and I've got the 20 by 80 for the sides of all our tables. Now, you don't need to go through all the effort to machine the wood. You can have it done for you by your timber yard. All you need to do is go there and ask them to do it for you and they'll fix it. You'll pay a little bit more, but then it saves you a lot of time and effort. You must remember that when you buy wood from a wood yard, you're going to get defects in it, and this is normally allowed for in the price that they set. Now we're going to saw up all our bits of wood into the right lengths, and quite a few of them are going to be the same length. Now it really does pay, if you're going to have to do repeated cuts of the same length, to have some sort of arrangement on your saw bench where you have a saw stop which can be fixed in place, and then you just bring the piece of wood up against it, make your saw cut, take it away, push it up, and so on and so forth until you've done all your cuts. In traditional woodwork, when you have a leg which has got a rail coming in from one side and a rail coming in from here, the tenons which go through into the mortises in the leg, the tenons have a 45-degree end to them, so that the two tenons coming in from opposing sides will meet at 45 degrees. And as we're using dominoes, I want to produce some special dominoes with a 45-degree end to them, so that the dominoes meet inside the leg at 45 degrees. Now, in order to do this, I've already made up some domino stock, which is 8mm thick and 21mm wide, and I've rounded it over. That is the exact size needed for the 8mm domino cutter. I've set up a jig with a piece of this material, which is already cut at 45 degrees, and it's in the exact right position, such that I can now produce a series of these, which have got a 45-degree cut on either end. And they are 83mm long, which allows me a cut in the middle at right angles, which then gives me two dominoes, each 40mm long with a 45-degree end to them. Right, here we go. Notice I let the saw blade stop whilst it's in there. That stops the saw blade from picking up the piece I've just cut and sending it everywhere. So I've cut one, I've turned my piece round, tucked it in, next cut. And remember to stop each time. And that's the process. Simple. Right, I've now got millions of these little blanks with a mitre at each end, and I've set up my jig here. I've got my mitred piece of wood here, and I've set it in the right place, so all I've got to do is slide my blank in and then just do a straight cut. And remember, when you're cutting little bits of wood with a mitre saw, when you've gone through the piece, stop the saw and then lift the blade up, and that way you don't have any little whoopsies. And there we have the two. And if you take your leg, which has got the two mortises in, done with the domino machine, then you'd have one going in here and the other one going in like so, and that then gives you a very tidy little arrangement for the dominoes. Rather sweet, don't you think? Really nice. Now the beauty of the Festool guide rails is that all you have to do when you want to cut something to size is measure from your edge and put 2 pencil marks at the exact space where you want to cut, and then you position your guide rail with the splinter guard side of the guide rail right on those 2 pencil lines, just like so, and then you do your cut. So I've got my lovely piece of wood. It's the right length as it will be, and I now need to cut the width at 344. So I mark it 2 places, 344. And so all I now do is get my guide rail and put it on the pencil lines. Now you have to remember when you use the guide rail system that the piece of wood that you've just measured that you want has to be on this side of the guide rail. So there we go, it's in place, and all I now need to do is pop my saw on there and away I go. Now it really is simple. You saw just how little dust there was, and there's a piece of wood with a perfect edge ready for the next stage. Now 2 of my tables are going to have very small drawers in them, and so I need to make some cheap and cheerful drawer runners. I've machined up a piece of oak which is 20mm square. Then, with my CMS unit, with the TS55R saw on it, I've removed the blade guard, and I've also removed the riving knife extension. And my idea now is that I'm going to cut a rebate, and I've set up the saw blade such that it is 13mm high, and also the fence is set such that there's a 7mm gap between the fence and the near side of the blade. The theory then is that when I run this through twice, I will end up with the L-shaped section that I desire. Now if you're using this technique, you must make sure, because there's no blade guard and there's no riving knife extension, you must make sure you have all the safety gadgets at your disposal, and you never ever put your fingers anywhere near that blade. Right, let's get it going. And there we have the L-shaped section, absolutely perfect.